today we are gonna actually discuss few things regarding income generation and how we can rent our options. So far, what we have really talked about is speculation, mostly speculation. There's some investing, but really, I want to differentiate between the two and try to give some strategies that people have successfully used to generate income. When I say income, it's not like the paycheck that you get, but it's mostly like using the time decay to your advantage and collecting premiums regularly against either a stock position or a long-term option leaps. So we'll cover a few strategies here, but before I do that, I want to remind you of this chart that we saw in probably second session, where I mentioned an important thing that how an option loses its value over the course of its life, right? So as you can see that initially the slope of this curve is not as steep as towards the very end, especially in that last week or even last month. It loses its value very, very quickly, versus it doesn't do that bad when you have about 60 to 90 or even more days. It just doesn't behave that bad time wise. Now it can go against you. That's a different idea, that you were long on something, you bought a call option and the stock went down. That's a different phenomena. But I'm just saying that if the stock holds itself just because you are losing time, that phenomena is what I mean by time decay, and that's worse in last 30 days or so. We are going to talk some strategies based on this concept, which is very important. uh, so the first strategy, before even I do that, I like to talk about calendar spreads. And these are my personal favorite. I love them. A lot of people have used them. And that's where I mean to say that it's always good to sell options, because you give that bet to somebody else, that you play that bet, I'll watch you. If you succeed, then I have obligation to pay you off, and if your option didn't work for you, then I get to keep the credit, right? So what is a calendar spread? A calendar spread is that you can actually establish a long and a short position simultaneously. What you do is you keep, let's say, using calls, right? You can use two call options, you can use two put options. Let's stick with two call options, right? So they will both have the same strike, and obviously the underlying is the same. Both will be call options, and only thing that you are changing is you are using different expiry dates, right? uh, Everything else stays the same. So the best way to actually look at an example. So uh, let's look at this, and I'm going to recreate it so I can show you what I mean by a calendar spread, right? So let's say we want to go back to our favorite stock, Neo, and we say that we know that Neo is gonna announce its earning on 11th of November. So I know that that implied volatility for those November options is rising. So I am interested to sell a deep out of the money call. So currently the stock is at $30 and some change, right? So I want to do a trade where I will say that I want to sell the 30 November 13th expiry at a strike price of 35, but I need to have an offsetting position. And the way I will do it is I will just select maybe 200 days out. So, or you could do 2022. So you buy 1 year worth of time, or you can buy 110 days worth of time. But I would say let's stick with this one, for example, right? And same strike. So I'll choose the 35, and here I want to buy that one, right? So this is the spread I establish. Let's talk about what does that mean. Okay, so first of all, the position I established is I sold a 35 strike call, which is going to expire in 2 weeks, and I have to buy an offsetting position or something against which I can sell that. So I say that okay, 35 call, but I hold like 6 months of time here for this one. And this is net debit position, which basically means that you get to pay that $583 to enter the position, right? Now, this is a very interesting phenomena. what can happen? There could be few things that can happen here. One is that NEO comes up, blockbuster earnings, and it goes to say, $35. So that's about 15% move, or maybe 12 or 13% move from current stock price, right? So it really jumped up 12 or 13% up. But still, your call option, the one you sold, it basically didn't really hurt you, and you get to keep the credit, because remember, after 35 you're liable to, that's when it comes to in the money, right? So you basically have a very high chance of holding and taking that credit of $120 right there, as you can see, right? Because I sold that option. Now, you, let's say it didn't hit 35, so you get to keep all that credit, but then you still have 6 months of time on the 35 call that you actually are holding, right? So basically your calendar was a winner in a sense that if it went up to say $34, let's say it ended at $34, you get to keep all the credit for the one you sold, and then it actually moved in your favor up to say, $4 for your call option. It helped improve its price, right? So what I'm trying to say is that you sold something which was expensive, which was had a very, very high volatility, and that's where. So the curve, if you look at the P&L, let's look at the P&L for this. How does that look? Um, okay, so these ones I don't want to use Excel a lot, just because you can see this better dynamically, and I will run it the simulation and show you what it means. So today is the 1st of November. So see that purple line after 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. So basically this purple line is moving towards, so the best outcome for you would be 35. So on the day of expiry, which is November 13th, if let's say so if on November 13th it just didn't move at all, is your best scenario. Why? Because the 35 call you sold expired worthless for that person, but the 35 call you are holding actually, because the price went up, so consider that as a naked call now, and it helped you, so it gained some price on that. So basically that's the whole concept of a calendar, is that you want it to move, you wanted to move it very, very close to your calendar strike prices, which were 35 in this case, right? Now, the further away it goes from that, the more you end up being in trouble, right? So let's say that the NEO really, really surprised you and moved by, say, almost 50%. So that basically means that it really went to like 45 or something, right? In that scenario, that near-term call that you sold will actually hurt you, because you can see that you just sold it for like $120, but it came in the money by like $10 almost, right? So that's why the whole strategy relies on the fact that it's not going to make a large, huge move. I would say even a little bit of a downward move is probably fine, because you have 6 months and you are very bullish on it long term. You have a 6-month holding for a 35 strike. So you know that it's going to probably take a downward ride and go back to 26 or 25, but eventually that call that you're holding will eventually recover. But what you gain out of this trade was you actually got to keep that credit, and that's called renting the options. And why I call it renting the option is that holding a option that is long dated, 35 strike, May 21st expiry, you are able to rent all the nearby options on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So after that 13th November, hey, I can sell another one for 20th November. I can sell another one for 27th. Every week you keep selling against it. Now, like I said, in two of these scenarios, 2 of 3 scenarios, you are the winner. If NEO holds to 35, you see that you are the winner, right? If NEO moves up little bit, then you are still winner, right? If NEO moves a little bit down, you're still winner. I will show you in a minute a strategy where it's really 2 out of 3. Like if you really want to win completely in a case that it really goes up, then set your strike so that you hold a deep in the money option, or I would say deep in the money, or maybe an at the money option. So you will say that I want to hold that 21st May. I want to hold like a 33 or maybe like a 30 call, right? So that way, the price goes up a little. Before it was like like 583 or something, right? And now, because you actually, this is even better. I would do that one. I would go 30 and I'll pay 200 more on that spread, and now I'm holding the 30 call. So that this $5 further in the money I'm getting, like lower strike is better in a call option. So that's an even better trade for me. So that's how you. But this is not a classic calendar, so I didn't use that example. But when we'll talk with double diagonals and other spreads, I will show you what it is. But this is a sort of a calendar where what you're doing is that you're holding a nice call option that you would love to have in your portfolio, a Neo 30 call with 6 months time, buy it, right? But just to lower its cost, you're selling deep out of the money calls, and this bottom one you're renting out to somebody, saying that you take the 35 call, I will watch and see you, right? I know I collected $120 from you for this. Now I'll watch and you play the game, right? Now he will get in some profitability if it goes break even would be 35 plus or 120 will be 36.20. So at 36.20, it'll start maybe hurting you a little, but that's about $6-7, and then it still doesn't hurt you because hey, you are holding a 30 call. So that $6 upward move is actually going to benefit your call option a lot more than what is going to to him, to the other guy you sold it to. So this PNL would really look at, let me see, analyze trade. So this PNL, let me get that other one out from there. So see, this one is lot more wider. So even up to 40, you're green. Actually, even more, up to yeah. So this is really good trade because you are getting, but on the downward side you have a little bit of risk, because if goes down, say like 33 or 32, the call, because you only collected $120, remember, but that naked call that you not the naked, but the single call you're holding, that 30 call will lose its value if it really drops down to say 20 or something. So that's where this is a break even right here. So yes, up to 29 you're probably okay. If it really dropped on you like 25 or 26 or something, then it's a problem. Now, but let me remind you something. Hey, you have 6 months on it, and you know that Neo, and inside your heart, that's gonna go back to that 30. So it's okay. I did a calendar on Apple actually on this earnings, and it went too far out for me actually. It went like 108. I had a calendar of 115. So sometimes, but the calendars you have to give yourself a lot of time. I didn't allow that much time. I just have 2 weeks. Now my hope is that it will come back to 115 or 113 or something, and then it'll break even. But it felt way too much to my liking. But if I was holding about 3 or 4 months worth of time with that Apple, my hope was that it'll come back to where I want it to be. So that's the whole concept of that. I don't know I don't know how well I was able to explain the basics of it, but if anybody has any questions, now will be a good time to ask. So nothing on the, okay. All right. So I didn't see anything on the chat. So, okay, good. So, so I'll keep moving.
This yes. is Talal. Again, good question. So we are doing on calendar, we are doing a call spread, right? So that means, in other words, we need to have 100 shares as well?
No, just one call against one call. That's it. Okay. I will talk about caller in a minute. In that, you need to have 100 shares. I will talk to that. But this one, you do not need. You're buying options, you're selling options, and that's fine as long as number of contracts is the same. So you're buying 2 calls, you're selling 2 calls, you're good. You're buying 5 calls, you're selling 5 calls, you're good. That makes sense?
Yes.
Good. Okay. So let's keep moving, and we'll talk a little more in these. And now I'm going to get really fancy, and I'll talk about double calendars or dual calendar spreads. So, like I said, I showed you that example where we saw how that option started losing if it really goes down. Now, why not do it twice? So do a call calendar and a put calendar, right? So let's see how that trade gonna look like. So, why not? So you have a 35 and a 35. Why not also make it 25 and a 25 put, and then see how the PNL looks like? So basically, let's do it 35, 35, 25, 25. Let me do it. So I'm going to delete all these. and I'm gonna set this up. I'm gonna delete it. Okay, so let's get a little creative and try and do something which is really fancy. And I know that these are gonna be, but it takes time to get experience with these things. But so I want to sell short-term neo calls and puts. So let's start with selling that 35 call. So let's sell that one. Okay, and then I want to sell a 25 put on the same date. So I'm going to sell this one. Okay, and I just wanted to, okay, and then I want a 6 month is probably fine. So let's go and do a 20. Yeah, so this expiry is, and actually let's just do like okay, I think this is fine. We can keep that. Okay, so I'm gonna do a 35 call. This time I'm the buyer of that 35 call. So I'll go here and I'll buy that one. And then 25 put, I'm a buyer again. And this one is buy here. So yes. So I let's do those as ones. So okay, good. So this spread here is a double diagonal, and it's not a double diagonal, it's a dual calendar. So basically you are doing two calendars, one on 35 strike, one on 25 strike. And this is exactly how it's gonna look like. And the P&L diagram for this is gonna be pretty wide here. See that, all the way into 25 and all the way into this one. I have to show you here actually. So analyze trade. So if you go all the way into here, I think I have some clicked here. So 25 put, 35 call, 35 call. Something is, I need to go back in here. Yeah, I think it's fine now. It's just the scaling is off. Yeah. So you have two tops here. Like see the you have a top on 35. That's where you really want it to end close to 35. The closer you are to 35, it's gonna benefit you, and the closer you are to the put 25, you're still gonna be okay. So the P&L range is actually pretty wide, and that's what I want to show it here, is that in this scaling is good. So see how big the P&L and the break-even ranges are. So you are still profitable in all these ranges in 2 weeks. So that's why I want to say that I want to emphasize that sell those near-term options and buy those long-term options. And that probably, in my experience, is the right way to use options. When you get your knowledge enhanced over the years, you are going to eventually learn that it's very hard to make money by naked speculation on calls and puts, especially if you're playing in this zone, which most people love to play because they want to have a very thrilling ride. Once it starts moving your direction, you make money very, very quickly. This right here, if those are income, they're not going to make you huge returns, but look at the probability of win, the range in which you can win, and still making 20-25% profit on an option trade. On a $1,000 trade, if you make $250 with a reasonable probability of success, that's what you should probably do more often than going something really crazy like $1,000 you put in and hoping that will convert into $7,000 or $8,000 in a matter of couple of days here, or sometimes even the same day. Well, that happens, but my point is that I'm giving you all these tools which you can eventually start using. But that was the concept of double diagonal. Not double diagonal, dual calendar spreads, where you have a call strike, you have a put strike, and pretty much around in that range, plus a little more, you are green. So that's a pretty handsome range here where you are profitable. But your losses start right after, and if the stock really dropped or it really went up, then you lose money. But these kind of strategies have a very good probability of a winning trade. Sometimes the wins are not big, they are 5-10% gains here and there, but your goal with these options should be try not to lose too much. And we're going to talk about callers in a minute here. But before I actually do that, I want to talk a little bit about double diagonal spreads. And any questions or anything, now will be a good time to ask. And don't think about dual calendars right now. Just think about single calendar and see how that works. Maybe try it in your virtual account, or try and do a few things with that and try and learn those, that how I can sell, 6 months or 8 months down call option, buy those options, leaps 6 to 8 months, 9 months long, and then sell weekly calls against it, and keep the strike a little bit in my, so hold the call option, like I said, 30 neo strike call, hold that, and 35. So sell out of the money and buy in the money or at the money. That way your P&L will look better. So I don't know, it's getting a little too advanced, but if I'm not able to communicate well, or you feel that it's, ask me questions, but I think it needs a lot of experience with other strategies before you get there. But eventually you'll read about calendars, how they could use to generate income. But we can get back to those. But let me talk a little bit more simpler with callers and actually double diagonals. Now, double diagonals are, again, here you don't have to be symmetric, right? Like I said, here in the calendar, see how I had 35 call and 35 call, and then 25 put and 25 put. In the double diagonals, what happens is that you can set your own parameters, right? I mean, you can still set in the calendars also, but by definition, those double or dual calendars are where you have them same. So 35 and 35, 25 and 25, right? And that's where those two humps that you see are visible. Now, in a double diagonal, what happens is that, so in this case, what I did was, I basically, I'm more bullish on Neo than I'm bearish on it, right? But I don't know where it will go, right? So that November 13th, I actually am going to sell an out of the money call, a 33 call. Remember, Neo is at 30 today, right? I'm going to sell a 33 call because I don't want to lose on that $3 gain, which is going to probably show, right? But I'm very confident that it's not going to go too far out down below 30. So I'm going to sell a 30 put, right? And that those two will be 2 weeks out from now. And on the buying side, I'm going to use that 21st May, right, at my expiry. And here, see the 33 call I sold, I'm going to buy a 30 call. So I'm keeping that $3 in my pocket, just because if Neo goes to 40 or 35, hey, I was holding 30 call, you are holding 33 call. So I am going to make that 300, right, roughly. On the put side, I take a little risk. I sold you 30 put, but I'm going to hold 27 put. So I know that you will lose more than me if Neo goes up, because you are holding 30 put. I am holding 27 put just as a defense, because if it goes to 20, God forbidden, I am not responsible for paying you 30 minus 20 times 100, which is $1,000, right? So that's my little insurance there. And then you can always customize that. Now, how does that work? So let's delete all of these. And I am going to trade something. And I can just basically go here and select double diagonal. Well, double diagonal calendar or double diagonal, that's totally fine. You can select both. So I'll, let's just, these you can customize. So I'll show you, I'll just pick up something. And then it gives you these 4, right? So what do you want to sell? I want to sell 13th November. And just one for each. Actually, let's make it custom, right? So you custom order, these are custom orders, right? You can select what you want, right? So you will sell a $13, both November 13 expiries, a 33 call and a 30 put. Yes, that's exactly what we did. And on the buying side, I'm going to buy a 30 call, but expiry will be May 20, this one. And the same thing here. It will be an expiry that is here. And I will sell a 27 put, because I think it's going to go up. So that's $1,127 trade. But you're holding a $30 call, which is really good, because you're hoping that's going to go up. And then you're also holding a $27 put that if it goes down, you can always cover that one. So you can construct these things based on what you're, and always analyze the P&L. So just go and analyze the P&L and see how it's going to look like. And you can see that with this, the profit zone is 0, so it's about up to 27.5 something. 13th. Yeah, so 11th on 11th 13th or 11th 14th, if it is above this price 27.58, you're green. On the long side, like because you're holding that 30 call, it's probably gonna be green all the way into 40. It'll be green even more. So yeah, so you can analyze and study how these P&Ls look before you do the trades, because it's important to understand how these things work and what are you actually signing up for when you are setting these. And then you literally change those and see, like if I make that 30 call to say 28 call, what will it do? So you see it change the curve a little, and then you can analyze that, okay, on the expiry of 13th, if I am above this and on the long side, you're actually pretty good. But on the short side, so if I'm worried that NEO is gonna probably 27 is gonna drop, I can hold, I can not sell that 30 put, and instead I sell 28 put. So then it increases my, so now it's 25.46. So you can play around with that and determine your parameters where you want to play. But these are double diagonal spreads, so they're called double diagonal spreads because you are doing two basically a diagonal call spread and a diagonal put spread. Like I showed you, there were two calls and two puts, one call long, one put long, one call sold, one put sold. The idea is the time decay, because remember those two November 13 calls and puts, they are gonna really decay fast unless NEO comes up with spectacular earnings or it really tax below like $20, and you should probably be good. And they basically take advantage of that decay on the front month options, or front or weekly or bi-weekly, like I said, and accelerate then the back month options. That's exactly what here is, that those will decay faster. The ones that are within the 30-day, those that are out, they are not going to decay as fast. And that's exactly what I'm saying here is the idea behind these spreads. Okay, I will check if there is any questions and then jump into. Go ahead.
Okay, this is Talal again. Okay, so let's say if we go to 30, if NEO go to 33, that was the time when let's assume we hit the price range where we had the maximum profit, right?
So that will be, yeah, 33.
Yeah, let's say if NEO hit 32 or 33.33, now how we get out of the trade?
So on that, so okay. So both puts will.
If that happens before 13th November, let's say if NEO becomes 33 on 6th November, the ones a week before we have the selling options.
Great question. So it will not realize its full potential, because remember there are 5 days worth of time left in those options, right? So you can simply sell them. You just go and reverse the trade and you just click on it, sell it. But it will not be, so 6th November you said, right? So it will look like this. So the P&L will look like that purple line on that day. So on November 6th, if the price was 33.33, you would have made like $300, right? And you just sell it. You sell the whole 4 and get away with it. You can do that definitely. Or what you can do is you can just sell one part of it. Either both calls you can sell or both puts you can sell. But it's actually a very nice trade, because you see that on 6th of November, before earnings, NEO going to 33, you would still be making $300 right there. And on the downward side, if it goes 26, then you lose some money. I think after that you start losing. But yeah, so watch out these. That's why it's a dynamic phenomena, because remember, on 6th of November, the puts are, and all these options still have some time value of 5 days left in them. So they're not done yet. So the P&L I was showing you, the green line is eventually the P&L on that expiry date. Does that make sense?
Yes. My second question is, what was the difference between the double calendar or double diagonal? Aren't they both the same one? where we bought a call at a put and sold a call and a put?
Very good question. Very good question. And yes, they are very, very similar, very, very close. The only reason why I separated them out was double. So dual calendars or double calendars are strictly a strategy where you are actually using the same strikes for your calls and same strikes for your puts. That's a general terminology, and this has there are two humps there, right? So at the put there is a hump, and then at the call strike there is a hump. So it's a terminology. It's called dual calendar spreads. So that's why I wanted to keep them separate. But yes, double diagonal you can customize them. So like I said, it's asymmetric. It's not like symmetric. See, 30, 33, 27, 30. So the hump is it's very asymmetric in that sense. Does that make sense? But yes, functionally, conceptually, they are the same things. Okay, one thing I will mention to you is that these charts are really good. You can see, and don't get misled with the green line. Green line is the day those, and all brokerage companies and all softwares work the same way, right? I use Thinkorswim and Interactive Broker. Those two, generally the idea is the same. They'll show you the daily progression of this curve. So you can see, actually, these are really good trades because today you enter it, right, on Monday. So let's call it today. Right now you're entering it, right? So you can see that, okay, first day one. So right now there is nothing much here, right? Now, if day one, day two, day three, after 3 days, this will look like my PNL, right? Based on obviously the volatility can change and there could be dynamics that will be changing here because market makers can raise that volatility because they know the earnings are coming. So that IV, those IV numbers can change and they will raise up the prices. But generally, assuming things will not, become crazy, that PNL should reflect it because right now the on November 13th at the money calls is it's so 280 and 235, so about $500 on a $30 stock. Yeah, they are already pricing pretty good on this. They think it's gonna move plus or minus 5% on earning. Right now, I can tell you from that. At the money straddle, 30 strike, you add those, divide by 30, you get the rough range that they're projecting it to move about, I would say, 5 divided by 30. Yeah, 17%. They are probably a little bit expensive options right now. Maybe because NIO has moved a lot, and there's a lot of things going on with it, so it's pretty expensive. These two. It will probably even get more expensive, by the way, by the time it gets there. Anyway, so okay, I think we can move to callers. These are, so you guys know covered calls, right? Now, this is a very important strategy when you're looking at income generation. Why? Because a lot of times you are not too worried about downward moves, and those downward moves once in every 5 times do happen really bad. I mean, look at the Kodak stock or look at the Innovia stock. So Innovia was like $30 stock, right? So if you kept doing those calendars, it was a very profitable strategy until now. Today it's a $10 stock, right? So for that very, very, very sharp adverse movement, they say that do this, and now whoever asked that question about 100 shares, yeah. So anytime you're writing a covered call, you would need 100 shares because you remember you're selling one out of the money call against it, right? So that's why you need to have 100 shares. Anytime the shares are involved, you have to have at least 100 shares in options, right? So let's look at the P&L for a caller. How does that work? So essentially what I'm doing is I know today NIO is $30.58 stock, right? So this is a gorgeous strategy. It really is. And let me explain you why. First of all, options trading, you're always looking at 3 directions. Stock goes up, stock goes down, stock didn't do anything, right? So this is a strategy where almost 2 out of 3 times you are the winner, which basically means stock stayed the same, stock went up, you win in both outcomes. If it goes down, You still win a little bit if it didn't go too far out. But then at some point in time, actually, if it really went bad against you, you may lose a little bit, but then it will become flat after that, right? So this is interesting. We need to spend time on it. Okay. So let me do a little explanation of what can happen. So let's say that new stock today is 30.58. We bought 100 shares. That's our share position, right? I sold an out of the money call strike 33. Now, why did I sell an out of the money call? Because I want to keep that little spread between the strike and stock price in my hand. Why? Because if it goes up, I want to enjoy some upward ride, right? Because otherwise, it's no point, right? I'm bullish on it. If you are bearish on it, do the reverse, right? Which basically means short the stock and then sell a put option against it. But let's take a case. So let's say that NIO actually went $35, right? So on the expiry date, which is 13 November, right? So $35 means that I made how much in my stock? I made current stock price 35. I bought it when it was 30.58. And I am holding 100 shares. That's plus 442. Call it on the stock. Okay. Now, on the call that I sold, this one, right? I'm actually going to lose, right? Why? Because, it went in the money for the guy and it's $35 minus 33. I owe that much, but then, hey, I collected 163 from the person. So I will just simply do 1.63. And all this happened on 100 shares. So I will lose some money in here, which I will put as a negative because, it went out of my pocket. No, but this one I gained, right? Because that's credit I collected because I sold it for 163. So I get to keep that 163, but then I owe them. So let me do this right. So it should be negative here, and then I think this will be fine. Yes. So I lost just $37. That's fine. But look what I enjoyed, right? And then on the put, just as a protection for that, I sacrificed some profits, and that's at $49, which is again gone out of my pocket because I bought that put option as a protection, right? So now my net P&L will look like the sum of all these, and I am winner by. Let's redo this exercise. So I said there are three directions in a stock. Stock goes up, that's what the case was, right? Now let's look at the case where stock didn't move. So if the stock didn't move, hey, I didn't make anything on my stock, right? Literally $0 there. Stock didn't move, right? Call option, I collected 163, so that's money in my pocket. So door 33 call expired worthless, so I get to keep 163, right? The put, yes, I had to pay because I thought that's my protection, so I have to pay. Still winner by 114, right? Now let me take a case where actually it dropped, but it didn't drop too sharp, right? So I will take 4 cases actually. So stock dropped to say, let's call it 29, right? 29. I lost 158 on the stock. Call, I get to keep everything. Put, I lose. So yes, I'm a loser because stock dropped by. So on the stock I lost money, right? Wait. Yes, on the stock I lost $158. On the call I got to keep 163, but then on the put I lost 49. So yeah, still not a bad, still not a bad outcome, right? Now if the stock really fell down, then what? So NIO goes to say $26. Actually $23, right? There's earning between them. On the stock, I lose really bad, $758. Call, I get to keep the 163, right? While the put option kind of delivered for me a little bit. So I paid 49 for it, but it did save me a little bit because remember that we said 23, right? So the 25 strike put minus, did I say 23? Probably yes. Let me see. Yes. So I lost on the put as well. Net loser is minus 642. But hey, you were truly wrong on that because the stock moved against you by how much? 23 minus 30.58 divided by 30.58. almost a drop of 25% in 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, $642 loss because you're holding the stock, but you can change that. If you really want more protection, you just don't go 25, go 27, but you have to pay more for that. But that's the way I set it up, right? So bottom line is this P&L will look like that. So the maximum reward to the ratio, so maximum reward will be 356, but the maximum risk is 144. Look at the break even. So 29.44 is what I used. So so it went a little south. If it was 30, I would be okay. 30. I get to keep that. So on 30, I'll be okay. So it's really that 29.44 is when it broke even, I believe. Yeah, almost zero. So yeah. So callers are good. Now you could come back to me and say, look, this is killing me, that $49 at a 25 protection. But my experiences have taught me this lesson that if you are capping your upside with a 33 call that you're selling, right? You're capping the top, also cap the bottom. And that's why the covered call strategy, remember when we did, I think I have the covered call here. The problem is that it keeps going down, right? So just cap it there, because otherwise you never know. Some of these stocks, they really surprise you. 33%, 60% drop. Innovia is a great example. Innovia was 30 plus a few months ago. Today is $10 stock, right? So what you did not have protection. You capped your upside, but after you keep making money in 2 or 3 or 4 of those trades, but one of those bad ones really kick it off. So that's why I say, callers are good. Covered call has unlimited risk potential downward, but if you really go for like a collar, you set up a little protection and pay a little insurance on that. So that's pretty much the explanation on the collars. And then you keep generating income on the upside. Think that it will still give you income as long as your break even. So think about that. As long as it doesn't really go too far down, I'm okay. But there's a little price to pay to get that protection, because some of those can actually really go down. So that's my whole point was. Any questions on this one?
Not a question, but just a clarification.
Sure.
So in the covered call, we buy a call and we sell a call, right? So the difference
in a covered call, you buy a stock, sell a call.
Yeah. So in this one, you buy a put and sell a call.
So you buy. I'll show you. Yeah. So you buy 100 shares. You buy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Buy the stock, sell the call, and then buy another put down below.
Okay.
And keep generating. See, okay, this actually shows you the P&L. If the broken line here would have been the P&L if it was a regular covered call. And see, yes, you are foregoing a little bit of a profit profile here. You see how it dipped down for you a little bit, but hey, that Innovia example, it would have kept going down. So yes, you're buying a little insurance for that. You're giving away a little bit of a profit, and your break even is now a little bit. It's a little bit better in terms of the stock price. So yeah, so it's a trade-off. I mean, I would not recommend you doing some of these covered calls just because. I mean, it generally the stocks are stable. I mean, Micron or AMD or all of these, but there are things happen. I mean, all of a sudden you wake up in the morning and you see something down 20, 25, 30%. So that's, do you want to buy insurance? You can keep buying them, or actually buy it a little bit really low. Maybe that 20 was not a good, maybe go 20, 25, go 20. But then you already lost like $10. What's the point? But this will be almost free then. So it's your call how you want to play it.
So the one we learned, that was a call spread in which we buy the in the money option, and then we sell the deep out the money option.
Yes, that's a calendar. Which is okay. I didn't have a calendar chart here just because I think it's easier to see it in dynamically. I mean, I could have done it, but I feel those calendars are yes. So you're right. Buy deep in the money call option with a lot of time in your hand, and keep selling the bad options against it. Rent them every week. Come to the trading desk and sell one deep out of the money call. Give it to them and collect like $100 for it. That's called renting the options.
Okay, got it.
Because remember, that decay will not be severe for you because you're holding probably 120 days in. So for you, it's a little bit here, nothing much. For that guy, 1 week, it's a big drop. That's what the whole point is.
I got it. Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna switch gears and talk a couple more topics. We have like 10 minutes left. So I'm gonna wrap it up. But before that, I wanna talk something interesting, which is growing in popularity called binary options. I've traded them, but I think the reason these are less, they're very highly speculative and very, very close to gambling, honestly, if you ask me. And that's why I don't trade it too much now, but it's like a coin toss. Literally, if you go to nedex.com, every 5 minutes you have an option for 5-minute expiry. So what it is like, okay, I'll give you an example. So SPX is likely to close above 325 in 10 minutes from now, right? If you are right, you make the $100 complete. If you're wrong, it's $0, and the cost to enter it could be $30, $40, $50 in it, right? So there, either you're right or wrong. This is like for those engineers, like a gate, a 0-1 kind of outcome, right? So if you're right, you make $100 payoff, right? If you're wrong, payoff is 0. Everything is capped, so there's no unlimited losses. You want to play 5 minutes, you want to play 5 days, you want to play 1 hour, you want to play like 1 day. You can just put the bet. You say that, for example, S&P 500 is likely to close above 325 by 1:20 p.m. today. If you are right, you make $100, right? If you are wrong, your payoff is 0. Now, this is not a free bet. They may charge you $30 for it. So give us $30. So your loss will be $30, but you could have made $70 because you put 30. It went to 100, so you made $70 on an investment of $30 if you're right. Or you can play it 50-50. You select, so those option prices are listed. Because if it was really close to 325, that option may be very expensive. So you are actually paying $80 for something that will make you just $20. So it's all probability based. But there's a very nice website, nedex.com. You can go and check it out. There are a lot of those binary options. You see, it could be used as a hedges also. For example, you say, there's election week, all this, next Friday, I want to put a bet on S&P 500 to be above certain numbers. So you put reasonable amount on it, and then you say, look, if it goes down, I have a bet placed where I said that if S&P 500 goes below, 300, for example, then I make some money because my binary option delivered for me. And then you keep trading in your other account and not worry about that one. So you just buying a little bit. But I generally don't. This is like really more of a speculative, highly speculative instrument. So that's why today, since I was covering speculation versus that, I did want to bring it. Generally, you want to play call options like the way I explained you. Try to establish a position on call options or put options based on that. Your view on the market. But this is getting more popular nowadays because people. The problem with people generally is a behavioral finance issue is that people don't want to hold on to their profits, especially when they're shaky. They see a little bit profit, they cover it. And then they say that, okay, on the loss side, they will take all the loss. And that's where these come handy. Yes, your loss is $0. Whatever investment you did, like $30 or $40 to get into trade, your loss is like $40 and that's all you lose. But on the upside, you're also capped. So this really caps, and it just is a better sort of trade-off in terms of risk and return. And not like, you bought a call option and every morning you're coming up and hoping that it'll go in your direction. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of people doing binary options. These are generally down on indexes, and that you not find binary options on Apple or those, but on like oil price, for example, you say the oil price $35 a barrel. On Friday, with all this election stuff going on, you place a bet that it'll be over $35, and that you pay a little price for that, and and either you win or you lose. So that was that. Any questions on that? Okay. All right, I think we're coming to top of the hour. What I want to do is spend like maybe another 5-7 minutes on, something that just reflects on what we try to achieve over the last 5 weeks. My goal was not to go in deep, intricacies of, really, really deep, option stuff. Each one of those strategies, if you really dig deeper into it, it probably is a full lecture, sort of. So I don't think my intent was that. My intent was just to give you a little bit of a flavor. If you only retain 20 to 25% of what we discussed over 5 weeks, I think you are off to a great start. You can build on it. There's a lot of material out. Experience is best to teach you. So I would say that take this information and build on it is the right approach. My few advices to you is a process which you should follow. So we'll go through these in order. So you start with picking a stock or ETF of interest. You wanna play on, say, AMD, or you wanna play on something that you like, or you have some view on it. Start from there. Or sometimes the ETF. I wanna play on airline. So I go for jets. Or I go in financials, or I go in oil. You go in something, right? So you pick something of interest, and then the first thing you check is it optionable or not. If it's not optionable, forget it, right? The second thing is, the liquidity. We used Neo throughout this, right? And we saw that how liquid. You always look at, these should be thousands or even some hundreds. So that those options are liquid, highly traded instrument. And also look at the bid ask spread. You should not be trading in something that is bid is like 1.9 and ask is like 3.0. I can show you things like that here. There are stocks. So you have to checklist. This is your checklist. You have to make sure these are highly tradable, highly liquid options, good bid-ask spreads, tighter bid-ask spreads here. These are important points. Then establish a bullish, bearish, or a neutral view. If you're a neutral, play with those strategies that we talked about, right? Delta neutral strategies, or your calendars and things like that, where the P&L looks good in the middle, but it dies down as you go in either direction. Bullish, those strategies we talked about, bullish and bearish strategies, your vertical spreads, your naked call options, and some of these strategies we talked about. And then also establish like a time horizon. You want to play a weekly, few weeks, few months, leaps, long term, whatever you want to do. This is where it comes down to speculation versus investing, and then income generation. All these three different categories, right? Weekly options are exciting, but my advice to you is play them, but buy a lot, buy in the money options, and try not to look at your leverage, what you're getting out of it. Take that stock price, divide by the option price, look at, are you getting good leverage? Is it worth playing? This Friday, I longed, I had option on AMD, which one call option, and I was looking at, this is about $80 stock, right, or $75 stock, and 100 shares is $7,500. I'm getting it on a Friday just for almost like $150. I'm getting one full day exposure at the money. It was not even at the money, it was actually in the money by a dollar or something. So I said, I'll play it. Worst case, I'll lose that $150, whatever, right? So yes, look at that. It's important in the weekly options. If you have few weeks, again, go deep in the money and buy, deep in the money and buy about 4 or 5 weeks if you want to establish a few weeks. That's because that 30 days, it's a bad decay. Try and stay outside of 30 days. Few months is better. If you have a long-term view on something that there's going to be 2 earnings falling in it, or more announcements coming in, go few. And then on the leaps, generally the problem with the leaps are they don't have good liquidity. I mean, even some of the very good trading stocks, the volume dies down with those. I mean, if you go like even Neo, maybe the really deep ones, 2023, you see that actually it's not that bad, but I mean, see that at the money 30, 14.0, 15.0. And then what's the point? I mean, leverage is only 2 to 1. You buy 100, you have one call that's $1,500 and the stock is $3,000. So even go and buy on margin, that's 2 to 1 margin almost. So don't go too far deep into into this. Just stay within like a year and a half. Maybe that's pretty much enough. And we need to talk about leverage, how to calculate that and how to find that out. So, and then see, what's your strategy? You want to rent your options like I just show you today. You bought a $30 8-month Neo call, and then you're gonna keep renting those out of the money options and keep collecting the month your weekly premiums on them, or you want to just invest and forget about them because it's going to be $60 stock. That's all up to you. Select the best strategy that works for you. I mean, we did cover like 20-25 strategies over the last 4 or 5 weeks. So select what really you like. Analyze the trade. Always generate that graph. The ones I do all the time. Just go on and see what your P&L looks like. It's important to know what you're signing up for. A couple of other things is always use limit orders. See that there's always this. If you go and trade something, let's say you take this one, right? So use limit, because there's always bid-ask spreads here and other weird things that. So you try to give your price. I mean, that already, actually, even stock trading. Monitor your positions, always, because deep into the money options sometimes have an assignment risk. So the holder. Remember, I said that do not sell American options. These options, they are not good to sell because you lose the time value of the money. But some crazy people, they exercise it, or they assign you that I want to get out of this bet. So they will take a little bit of loss just to get rid and free up their capital. So very rarely that happens, that you get assigned on something. Like I said, never exercise an option. Always sell in the market, because by doing that, you lose the money or the extrinsic value, because you basically get only the intrinsic value. We talked about that. Options are not like stocks. You do it after hours, early morning. Doesn't work that way. It's only 8:30 Central to 3:30 Central. 3 o'clock Central. So whatever the market hours are. So you need to be careful. And then there's a 1.5 hour window after the option expires, and a lot of these smart traders, they keep an eye on it. There's somebody sent that video. Remember, a few weeks ago, somebody sent that, and that was the explanation of something got from out of the money to in the money, and they exercised it, and next day it moved against them, and then on Monday they lost a lot of money. So yes, that story was there, but you'll get better at these things. But I mean, my whole point was to give you some of these checklists and some of these items that are important for you moving forward. With that said, any other questions or any other things that you want to share?